Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalised keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewellery, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle or even more? Look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF627EB, or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You can even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 94248. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewellery? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Vale Jewellery Workshops. Vale Jewellery Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewellery. They will help you make a range of silverware including rings, bracelets and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or even phone them at 07789 794248. And we're back.
We are back. Happy New Year.
You're back.
I'm back.
You're back.
I know.
How long?
Too long.
Very long. I've been talking to special guests all the time. Where's my partner in crime?
I'm sorry. I've just been busy.
Too busy. Too busy for me now. That I understand now. In the laundrette and everything. No, but how's your New Year been?
It's actually not been too bad.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, nothing much going on. Just getting back into the groove of things after actually having a break from work.
Yeah?
But, yeah.
2023 was a weird year.
It was a very weird year.
Personal-wise, anyway.
Do you know, it kind of felt like it didn't exist.
No.
It's really weird.
It's going to be one of those years where people will look back in time in 15, 20 years, unless World War III breaks out or something. They're going to look back and go, that was a random year.
Yeah, well, the whole past, 3 to 4 years has just been...
And that's just how I can summarise it.
That is pretty much how to summarise it, yeah.
2020, the world was on fire.
Yep.
2021 is just...
praying that we forgot 2020, and then 2023 was just...
Yeah. See, you forgot 2022 as well.
Oh God, I did! 2022 doesn't exist either.
Yeah, I tell you one thing though, in terms of the podcast and everything. Mm-hmm. Now, 2023, even though it's been a weird year, I think there were more downs than ups, and there's more personal reasons behind it, which I'm not going to go into on the podcast, because we want it to be fun.
Exactly.
But one thing I was really proud of is the fact that I managed to get a play published.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you very much. A one-man play called Keno. Mm-hmm. It was a nice story about Fred Keno, played for Cardiff City and goes on to win the FA Cup with Cardiff City. And it's a very fairy tale story, because if you look at it, it's a story about one man's dream of becoming a footballer, and he becomes a footballer. World War I gets in the way, and he nearly loses it all by nearly losing his leg because he was in the Battle of the Somme. The story goes on and on, which I'm not going to go into detail because there's probably a lot of people who listen to our podcast. To our podcast. Well, my podcast. No,
I mean, it's your podcast. I just pitch in every now and then.
But a lot of people listen and they're not a fan of football, which is fine. And anyway, to everyone who listens in on the podcast, I just want to say a big thank you. Not just thank you to the ones who follow us in the UK, but follow us in the United States, Germany, Australia, India. I've looked on there. I've looked into it, and I'm getting listeners from Singapore. Oh my yes, rock on Singapore. Rock on. No, anyway, wherever you are,
we see you all.
Yeah, wherever you are in the world, guys, thank you so much for listening, subscribing. It really means a lot. And I do forgive us, because we have not changed at all. Just because 2024 is a new year, it's not a new me, and it's not a new studio. We're still in the back room of my grandparents' house, and you can probably still hear my grandparents and my uncle arguing, which is probably, the added touch, because I look back on all the podcasts and I could just hear the mufflings of them having a chat.
Oh, can you?
And I'm like, oh, okay, that's not supposed to happen, but it's just there now.
Well, it just shows that not every podcast has to be locked in a room, just being the two of us.
Yeah. Being
complete and utter silence. It's almost like a cute background noise where you just feel like you're in the room with us.
And I've learned it as well from various podcasters, because some people listen to Joe Rogan, some people listen to Mark Maron, some people listen to a few other people. But one of the people that I listened to was Owain Tudor-Jones, who did a lot of football podcasting, and he did his own show. But the one thing that he did was that he did a podcast, and whenever he had guests on, he would just go wherever, he'd go to their homes. They would meet up in a public area, and he'd just put the microphone down on the table and he'd just chat away, and you can hear people in the background. And I think it adds that authenticity, that, listen, if you can hear them, then if you can hear us, then that's brilliant. And it's weird for me, because when I first started this podcast, and I remember how we summarised, not 2023, but 2022, how we summarised it, and how I talked about how the podcast got off the ground. And I, in the first, 5 or 6 episodes, which you were a guest as well, you became guest to host, as you're eating a donut.
I know.
But it was everyone who was just meeting each other. I met them face to face, and I was really grateful. The likes of Patrick Jones and Ian Rhys and Owen Thomas. Those guys who welcomed me, I welcomed them into my home, or I welcomed them on Zoom or whatever. It was brilliant. But then I knew that Creative Space Podcast couldn't be the podcast where I just have to have local talent or local people. I need to get out there, expand and everything.
Yeah.
And I will be completely honest, it's still a very difficult process to try and get people on the podcast. I mean, 2023 has been when I say a very weird one in terms of the podcast. Now, I'm very grateful that people who do listen, they tune into the podcast, whatever we talk about, even though we go off the rails sometimes, but that's just the pure fun of it.
Sometimes.
Yeah. But trying to find guests is very, very hard. I am not like, Jack Mate's Happy Hour, where they can just get people they want and they can sometimes pay them or whatever. I'm not saying Jack Mate's Happy Hour do pay them, because I looked into it and they say no, we just ask them and they come on and they come to the studios.
Yeah.
And again, forgive me if you can still hear my uncle in the background, then authenticity, people, authenticity.
Just think authenticity.
Yeah. But it's a challenge, and some of the times I did feel that my podcast became more of a chore than a hobby.
Yeah.
And in the last few guests that I had, no disrespect to them, it's not their fault, but it was like me sat up in my bedroom trying to turn it into a studio. And I'm really grateful that my Emily was bought me a new podcast equipment and everything, because she believes in what I'm doing. It was becoming more of a chore.
Yeah.
Very much like a chore. And the fact that when they tuned into Zoom, the guests, my brain automatically switched off. And then afterwards, I feel good after doing the episode of interviewing the guests that I did interview. And I don't know, it was such a weird one because I wasn't looking forward to it when I first started doing the episodes, and then as soon as I finished it, it just gave me a bit of an energy boost. It was weird.
Well, I mean, it's like when you start anything, it's always the way, isn't it? So you kind of realise just how much work you have to put into it, and then something that you enjoy can very quickly become something that you don't enjoy with the amount of work that kind of goes into it. It's like writing, for example. When I used to write for my own, I could write pages and pages and pages and pages, and then when it came to the English exam, when you had to write about something very specific, I couldn't write for crap.
Yeah.
Couldn't write anything at all about the one specific thing that it wanted.
You had to be descriptive, and then it had to be the narrative. It was like
yeah, because I don't mind describing things, but I think it went from... So I write a lot of fantasy, and at the moment my the only new year, new me crap that I'm doing is I'm trying to write 150 words a day. And they don't necessarily have to follow on from each other. But I find it very difficult to write any other subject apart from fantasy. And that's when writing stops becoming fun.
Yeah.
So, just trying to boost that mentality into it. So I can understand what you mean by going from talking face to face with people like you and I are doing now, and then going and talking to somebody on Zoom and interviewing somebody on Zoom. It is a completely different experience. And I've noticed that especially during the lockdown that we had, going from face-to-face interactions to screen was it sucked the joy out of everything. But the main thing is that you kept on with it.
Oh yeah.
And I'm very glad that it still gives you that energy boost afterwards, even though you're not looking forward to it at the beginning, like before you do it.
Yeah. It's weird because I think it's what helps as well is the guests that I bring on. Yeah. I'm grateful that they're on there, but then there's the gratitude that I get from the guests that are like, thank you for having me. And I'll tell you the recent one when I did with Adrian Barbeau. Now, Adrian Barbeau, for probably those who are not a fan of American television, even though there's loads out there, but anyone who's not familiar within the UK, so Adrian Barbeau, she starred in quite a lot of John Carpenter films. She starred in The Fog, Escape from New York. She was in Wes Craven's Swamp Thing. She was in a couple of other films, but she was also known for her television appearances, regular appearances in a TV show called, I say Maud, but it's Maude, I think, and it had B. Arthur, who was in The Golden Girls. Yep. And it was a big TV show, and I had her on a few weeks ago, and one of the things, and this is not a disrespectful thing to say, I'm not slagging it out or whatever, because when I do prepare and I arrange to get guests on the show, sometimes the representatives say, oh, so-and-so would like this, so-and-so would like that, which is very rare.
Yes.
But out of all the guests I've had, only 2 people I could not speak through on I'd spoken on Zoom, but I couldn't see their faces. Adrian Barbeau, whatever the reason, which is each is to their own, the representative said, could she do it without the visual aspects? Can she just speak to her, but her name would just be up there?
Yeah.
And all I can hear is her voice. And I was like, okay, no problem. That's fine. And we had fun doing it. And she was really great. She showed a lot of gratitude, and I hope she don't mind me saying this, but she experienced, a personal loss. I think one of her closest friends passed away, and she turned around and said, you've really made my hour. I've been really happy in that hour. And I was like, oh my God, I did that. Aww. I was really grateful. And then obviously I lost a friend, Bryn. That was hard. So and she said, I explained, I lost Bryn. And she said, well, at least we can make each other happy by doing this. And I thought, this is one of the reasons why I want to do this podcast, is to make people really happy, just to get away from here.
Yeah.
And the last time I had it, it was, I'm not going to say who it is, because I think this one was out of random. But this individual, which I enjoyed interviewing, by the way, we saw each other face to face on Zoom.
Yeah.
I got 2 questions in, and then this person, I'll say he turned off his camera and said, oh, I just don't like seeing my face. And I just thought, well, how am I supposed to know, as an interviewer, how you're reacting to my questions?
Yeah.
How are you? And it really put me off. And I remember getting off the Zoom afterwards, I was a bit deflated about it. I just felt was that to do with me? Was that to do with him? Was that to do with the situation? I don't know. But looking back on the other podcast that he has done, he kept his camera on, so I was a bit, not offended, but taken back by that action. But then again, there have been times on the podcast where I felt that I didn't do a good enough job, or I felt like in terms of researching that I didn't do well, or the guest I've had is just having a bad day. And there was that one particular individual, and again, I'm not going to say names because it's not a name bashing podcast, but this individual came on my show, and I was asking him questions. And guys, if you know what it is or who it is, you can look back on it in the podcast, and you can tell from the tone of my voice. And every time, I've still got all my files, this podcast, and I refuse to watch it for a lot of various reasons. Every time I asked a question, there was one question I asked about a particular TV show that this person had done, had written, and this person turned around and went, oh, so-and-so is not the star. That person is the main character. And I was a bit, oh, okay. And then I turned around and said, oh yeah, your name's not on the credited list on Wikipedia for this TV show. And it's the faces that he pulled, and I was like, oh, okay, should I have said that? Is this something I shouldn't have said, or whatever? Yeah. And it was a lot of things have happened. A lot of things have happened where I felt I didn't do a good enough job, or I felt like the guest didn't help matters in terms of how this person reacted, or this person. So I look back on that episode and just cringe. It's like, I don't want to do that ever again. And you know, my grandpa's always said to me, and that's another theme as well in my podcast, I keep mentioning my grandfather a lot. A lot of my friends who listen to the podcast say, you do mention your grandfather a lot. And I was like, yeah, because he's my hero. This is the man who's pushing me to get where I want to be. Yeah. And he always turned around and said, yeah, but this is why you got to do the research, Rhys.
Of course.
But I did do the research. That was the thing. I had the notes in front of me. And like I said, I don't know what went wrong.
Do you think it could have been Wikipedia? Like, I'm not pointing out Wikipedia like specifically, but you mentioned that his name wasn't credited on Wikipedia. Now, when I went to university, I was always told not to use Wikipedia as a source of information. Same. But at the same time, we are all human, and we could have a really, really good interview one day, and then we could get halfway through one interview and then just suddenly realise, I don't want to look at my face, or I don't really want to show my face anymore, because I'm going to reference playing D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, because we play over the internet. So we're all on Discord, we've all got our faces showing, and then sometimes we will be in the middle of like a 4-hour session, and just suddenly something will happen, and then we just don't want to show our faces anymore. So whether whether someone's been given food, or maybe Mother Nature has come on for one of the females, for whatever reason, they just suddenly turn their cameras off. And it does throw the groove a little bit, because we've gone from interacting and talking with each other so we can see our facial expressions and see stuff, and then just going from that to nothing. It does throw a lot of things off. So in one reference to the first interviewee that you said, where she didn't have a camera on at all, obviously you were taken aback at first, but when you actually did the interview, because it was consistent, because they didn't have their camera on at all, it probably wasn't as bad. Whereas the second one went from having camera on to camera off. That's, yeah, I can't, do you know what, I probably would have broken, I probably would have just gone, I probably would have crumbled in that situation, but you carried on.
Yeah,
so.
Well, that was the thing, because I knew these two guests that I mentioned, obviously the one was, I will mention it, obviously it was Adrian Barbeau, but I knew in advance.
Yes.
And that's nothing against, I just knew in advance. I was like, because I was grateful that, oh my God, I'm going to have this person on my podcast. I'm very grateful whoever I have on my podcast come on and talk about their careers, their interests and everything. Because at the end of the day, I will openly admit that this podcast is not on the same level as Joe Rogan's. It's not on the same level as Mark Maron's, where they can get anyone in and go, yeah, they're going to have to come here. It's like the managers, the agents and everything, they go to them. They don't go to vice versa. Sometimes they do, because I have heard on their podcast, Joe Rogan's as well, that he thinks of a name or two and he goes, right, let's go and ask them. And because they're such a big name, they go, yeah, we'd love to come on the show. So it's not there yet. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, because it's another thing as well. I do it on my own.
Yeah.
I know you come on and help me out with co-hosting and talking about things that obviously we're going to get down to in a bit, but when I'm not going to ask you to keep coming on all the time because you've got work and everything, and the thing is, we release the podcast twice a month. Yeah. And the thing is, I've got work, then I've got my playwriting work, and then I've got other work. So everything is mounted on top. So the podcast becomes the last thing on the list. Now, the fans will probably listen to this and go, oh, that's a bit, you don't take this seriously. It's not like I'm not taking it seriously. It's just that I'm trying to not burn out.
Yes.
I'm not trying to burn myself out. That's why it's like, if I was getting paid properly, now I'm grateful that Gemma Robertson, who sponsors, her businesses sponsor my podcast, I'm grateful that's one of the reasons why I keep doing it, is because she believes, and we're family friends, she believes, yeah, keep going, because this is brilliant, Rhys, this is brilliant, right? But it's the process of emailing people, representatives, or the actual people, and then go, would they like to come on the show? Would you like to come on the show? And then having to play the waiting game to say yes or no, and 8 times out of 10, they'll say, nah, they're not interested, or whatever, and you think, oh, great. Yeah. Even though the names are building up and building up and building up, there's still that possibility that they're going to say no.
Yeah.
But I've been, like I said, I've been grateful. I mean, I've interviewed Maury Yeston, who wrote the songs and lyrics to 9, Titanic the musical. I'm grateful that I met and spoke to Dennis Kelly, who wrote the script book to Matilda the musical. Yeah. I'm grateful I've spoken to recently Richard Stanley, who was the director of Hardware and Dust Devil, and was supposed to be the original director of The Island of Dr. Moreau, starring Val Kilmer and Marlon Brando. He was awesome, by the way.
Really?
He was awesome. I really enjoyed that podcast with him. He was so... what's the word I'm looking for? He was very intriguing as a individual, but he was very intrigued at what I was saying. He was like, oh, that's really good. And he was so... And the best thing about doing podcasts is that, you know, when you're worried about timing, you want to get over that hour mark.
Yeah.
Sometimes my tag has always been, if I could do more than half hour, that's a podcast.
Yeah.
That's a podcast episode right there.
Yeah.
I asked him a question and he just went with it. And he just went, gone. And I'm like, yeah, fair enough. He's killing time for me. This is brilliant.
And I've only asked him one question.
Yeah, but that's one question. That is amazing. And he'd be smoking as well. This is why if you listen to it, he'd be and I'm like, Jesus, this is old school interviewing at its finest.
Oh my God.
And Maury, yes, and he was a darling. That's a new word. He's a darling.
He's a darling.
No, but he was. He is a darling. He was. It took me a while for him. For me to get him on the show. I've been after him since day one.
Really?
Yeah, because I love Nine the Musical.
Yeah.
I love the number Guido song. Mm-hmm. I would like to be here. I would like to be there. I would like to be everywhere at once. If you ever do have the time, listen to two versions. One sung by Raul Julia, aka Gomez Adams in the film Adams Family films.
Amazing.
And Antonio Banderas. Broadway 2005 or 6 version, I'm believing to say. Oh yeah, and Daniel Day-Lewis in the film version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the film version. Oh, they're just, it's brilliant. Absolutely. And one of my favourite, he co-wrote The Grand Hotel. Yeah. And unfortunately, he didn't write this song. There was the other two that wrote it, but there was a We'll Take a Glass. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's such a brilliant song, but he was part of it. And Titanic the Musical, I couldn't have picked a better time to have him on the show because the UK tour was happening, the Titanic the Musical UK tour was happening.
Oh, okay.
So when he came on my show, he didn't even know there was a tour going on. This is the brilliant thing. He didn't know. He was like, there's a UK tour going on. And I was like, yeah, it's happening. I was like, well, in a couple of weeks, it's happening in Cardiff.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of all the guests I've had on my show. Can you think? I can't remember now.
I can't remember. To be honest, I can barely remember last week. So. Wait
a minute, I'm having a look now. Of all of it, and this is no disrespect to anyone, but things are dropping everywhere.
Ruler.
Charles Bush, Daniel H. Wilson, Dee Wallace. Oh, Dee Wallace. Now, one of the things that contributed 2023 to be a weird year was the fact that one of the major reasons why I could not get people on my podcast is because anyone who was part of the Writers Guild of America or the Screen Actors Guild could not come on the podcast, or if they could not talk about the films and the projects that they were doing because of the strikes.
Yeah, God, that was a funny old time. There were a couple of YouTubers that I watch that are just slowly kind of keeping me up to date on what was going on. But unfortunately, they were keeping me up to date with of what was going on through one particular actress. And God, she messed up.
Who's that?
I can't remember her name because I'm not really a fan of her anyway. But she was chosen to play Snow White.
Rachel Zegler.
Yeah, her. Oh my God.
Oh, do you know what? That was, if I was her publicist, I'd be pulling out my hair right now of the things that. Actually, let's break this down a minute, right? Wait a minute. I'll put it on hold because I actually want to speak about this.
Okay.
I actually do want to speak about this.
Good Lord.
Two of the most successful, popular guests I've had was Jordan Donica and oh my God. See, this is why I have to go back and look at.
Did I just see Mal Pope?
Yeah, Mal Pope.
Mate, I worked with him a couple of times when I was in university. I did technical theatre, so I was more to do with the behind the scenes.
Oh no, Hadley Fraser was 2022.
Oh, 2022.
Yeah, but Jordan Donica has become a very successful episode, and Lloyd Everett, a local Barry boy.
Of course.
Yeah. Sorry, you mentioned Mal Pope.
Yeah, Mal Pope. So I did technical theatre, and afterwards, I don't even know how he even contacted or how I even got in contact with him, but he was putting on a show for Graham Clark, and I believe he used to be in a popular band. I want to say Wet, 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 but it's been a long time since I've actually spoken about this, so I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was chosen, and along with my best friend Nicole at the time. I say at the time, we're still friends.
At the time.
But in uni, we were like conjoined to the hip, basically.
Yeah.
But we were chosen to go and help set up Graham Clark's show alongside Mal Pope. And sweet Jesus, that man is so funny, and he could talk for Britain. He could
talk for Wales.
He could talk for Wales, but the thing is, everything that he was saying was just absolutely fascinating.
He's got a wicked voice, not in terms of singing, but just speaking.
I mean, singing is just like chef's kiss anyway. Yeah. But like when you sit down,
he's got a voice like warm milk. I always rate Mal Pope's voice along with Richard Burton's voice.
Oh, okay.
Because you'll probably listen if he did listen to this bit, he'd be like, "Why are you comparing me to Richard Burton?" He was like, comparing my voice to Richard Burton, but.
Can you imagine if you get an email from him, after this podcast goes out, just go, excuse me.
Excuse me. Comparing my voice to Richard Burton, that is an honour, but why? No, just listening to Mal Pope's, I mean, do you know when people have that gift of a voice they can use for radio and everything?
Yeah.
It's not just that, but Mal Pope's just got a gifted voice. I don't know, it's because of the gift from Wales. I always believe...
Gotta be.
Yeah.
It is the gift of Wales.
He's in my top 5 of voices.
Okay.
Richard Burton's number 1. And if you ever have the opportunity to listen to Richard Burton, which you probably have a few times.
Probably.
Are you familiar? We're all familiar with Michael Parkinson, right?
Yes.
May he rest in peace, because he passed away in 2023. But that was one of the reasons why I got into podcasting, because of Michael Parkinson and because of another one called Dick Cavett. Dick Cavett is, I always say, he's the Michael Parkinson for interviewers in America. But he owned run his own talk show. You know, this is from the 1960s onwards into the 90s, early 2000s. He was there for a long, long time. And in I'd say the late 70s, early 80s, I think it's the early 80s, he sat down for a full hour and 20 minutes, obviously cutting the episodes in half, sat down with Richard Burton. And the one thing that was drawing me in was just Richard Burton just talking. And he's so eloquent with his words. He's so you would talk about just your daily walk. If you were just the most random things, you could talk about milk and you could be like engrossed in what he's saying. You know. And and one of the things I was really proud of was that Richard Burton. Now we think of today's great actors like Anthony Hopkins and Jonathan Pryce and Michael Sheen, but you got to think Richard Burton. Richard Burton is the one back in them days that sold the Welshness, and he would always be proud to talk about his in Pontry Dyfan, or be proud to talk about Wales and how much he's I'm a Welsh speaker, and he spoke Welsh on the show, bits and pieces. He went I'm a Welsh speaker, and telling the stories of his father, his family. I was like, oh, this is amazing.
Like, do you know what? I just talking about Wales. I was having a conversation with my mother-in-law, and it's really sad just how much or how little Welsh history we're told in our schools.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't tell you much about the Welsh history at all, because the only things that I remember being taught was about World War II,
the Tudors,
World War One, and the Tudors.
Yeah.
And it makes me incredibly sad because
Battle of Hastings, 1666, and a few other things. But that's, I mean, I don't want to go into. I mean, when you did mention that, I didn't want to particularly go into this because this is not a political or social kind of.
No,
I get what you mean. I get what you mean, because it wouldn't kill people, especially the education system in Wales.
Yeah.
to talk about your own history.
Yeah.
It won't hurt.
Yeah, only because I'm going to lead on to say that, you know, I think most Welsh people don't really appreciate being Welsh because we don't know much. And then you watch an interview with Michael Sheen, for example, and just the way that he speaks about being Welsh, it literally fills me up with so much... that's grammatically incorrect. I was going to say a sentence and my brain went, no, that's wrong. But
sense of pride,
it makes me so happy to be Welsh, just hearing him talk about being in Wales, being how proud we are as, you know, singers and blah, blah, blah. And then it's just like, yes.
One thing that I was asked in conversation, I think it was from my Emily, it was, she said, it was either her or it was someone in the family, said, if I was to ever go on a US talk show, and they talk about this is the one thing, and I'm gonna slightly forgive the American media for this, or any Americans for this. I love you, American fans. Don't ask me. You just gotta understand from my Welsh perspective. But every time I watch a US talk show host, and they're talking about Wales, and this is one of the reasons why I love Dick Cavett, because his grandfather came from Carmarthen.
Oh, okay.
And he actually put on a really good Welsh, tried to imitate his grandfather. He goes, well, if I ever. And it's like, yeah, that's a Carmarthen accent right there. But it was that sense of respect. And I know there's a few interviewers who do show respect for where people come from. But there was like there's been a few where they go, oh yeah, you're from Wales, is it? Oh yeah, you got the... And they make jokes about it. And yeah, sometimes they turn in cheek. You go, yeah, fair enough. But then there's someone like, yeah, no. And one of the things that I really resent is when they ask, can you say that
really long, yeah.
I mean, I can say Llanfair pwll chwengell go gerech chwyn drobo cantasilo go go goch, but if one of my family members asked me, oh, would you do it though? I was like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Why?
Because that is not the solution to sell the Welsh language.
No, it's not.
No, I would turn around. I mean, don't get me wrong, I am not a fluent Welsh speaker, right? But I can get enough to actually have a conversation just about, and if I can't think of anything else, then I go back to speaking English, right? But it's like, look at how Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney have done to sell the Welsh culture through their media outlets and everything. A lot of people probably don't like it, but they are selling it the right way.
Yeah.
If you ever watch Welcome to Wrexham, I know you're not a football fan, but there is an episode where they do talk about the Welsh history.
Yeah.
And they do talk about, this is what happened in that time. This is what happened. This is what you need to know. And they've done it within a span of months compared to what the other outlets of Wales do. And what I'm trying to say is that it's like Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds, when they purchased Wrexham, they embraced the culture, the Welsh culture and everything, right?
Yeah.
That's what they did. And... but when you get talk shows saying, oh yeah, can you say that long name? It's like...
It's a stereotypical Welsh
name. No,
name.
it is a stereotypical thing. It's like, well, no, don't stereotype me for, oh yeah, we got that longest name. Because there are longer names in the world.
So we've got the longest name in Europe, I believe.
In Europe, but not in the world. Because there's one in New Zealand, which is longer.
Yeah, New Zealand, I think it's also Africa... and another place. I did look it up because as I was scrolling, there was one name where I had to scroll like 3 times just to get to the end of it, and I was like, I can just about barely get Llanfair in one. Yeah. In one without going.
Yeah. No, but that's what I mean. And it's not me being like I'm a Welsh nationalist or something like that. Like Viva la Wales or whatever. But yeah. Because there's a lot going on at the moment, but it's like me as a proud Welshman, it's like, no, I can sell more than that to you.
Of course, yeah.
Because that's why I love Richard Burton, right? He was never asked about Llanfair Pwll.
Really?
He was never asked, because he never needed to.
No.
Because he would go and talk about Pontry Dyfyn. He would go and talk about Dylan Thomas. He would go and talk about his working class beginnings, you know, when he grew up with shed load of siblings that he had to go and live with one of his siblings because they've had so many. His mother and father had so many kids. You know, it's like his home in Switzerland, right? Do you know what it was called? Le Pays de Galles. Oh. Wales. It was called Wales, in fact. And that's what I mean. He had the Welsh flag up in his dressing room. You know, it was just the proud... It's like, yeah, I'm Welsh. Yeah. And I'm proud to be Welsh and everything.
Yeah.
But that's why, in terms of what I love to see as well, this is try and get the theme of theatre, film. Theatre have done it perfectly in some aspects, because you had Emlyn Williams, who's a famous Welsh playwright. He's done it. I mean, Dylan Thomas has done it, but there are so much more out there. But in terms of film, it wouldn't kill if Hollywood tried to accurately embrace the Welsh culture a bit. Because, I mean, again, I'm mentioning my grandfather, he says, oh, it's a good film, but he cannot stand how they depict the mines in Wales. Cannot stand it. Yeah. Because it's so inaccurate.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, the Wales is known for their singing. Okay. I mean, okay, but you don't get the miners going up the mountains into the abyss.
Singing Catalan.
Or whistling and then coming back and going, yay! It's like a few other things as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I tell you what, it's funny you should slightly say that, because it's just reminded me of a thing. I used to be in a writers group, and at the end of the month we would come together and kind of read out what we'd been writing throughout the month. And so it was a good opportunity for the girls that who were in it, who classically are also kind of actors and actresses and stuff like that. And there is this one woman, love her to bits, absolutely love her to bits, and she read out one of my pieces, and she said, but before she started, she says, I'm really, really sorry, but is there any way that I can try doing the Welsh accent? And I sat back and I went, sure, take a crack at it. And she said, the only reason why I'm asking is because my voice actor mentor, he said that he will never teach how to do a Welsh accent because nobody can ever get it right unless you're from Wales. And
I don't think people from Wales could get the
and I was like, in all honesty, I have a friend who is from Neath, and if I asked him to do a Welsh accent, he does a really, really shit accent. And I'm like, dude, you're from Neath.
But that's the thing about where you go to Newport, round the roundabout, it's kind of thing. You got that. Most of my band side of the family are from Newport. Then you got North Wales. I cannot stand the North Wales accent.
Oh really?
I love no money.
I mean, to be fair,
and then you got the. Then I think it's just a lot of people. Again, it's a stereotypical point of view where the stereotypical approach is, right, try to do the Valley's accent or try to do the Swansea accent because they're kind of similar, but the Valley's accent is more high, whereas the Swansea accent it's more
grumbly, isn't it?
More grumbly, but it's more harsh as well because it's the south. Buy your own fucking glue. Because I'm from Merthyr I am, and I'm up there I am.
I'm up there then in Ebervale. And
in Ebervale. Doing it wrong. It's like, yep, we lost the following in Merthyr, Swansea, and in North Wales. We lost a lot of followings here.
Because the one voice that I absolutely love, like, hearing in my head. So I'm not too sure if you've ever heard of Sophie Evans.
Yes.
Okay. So friends is a little bit of a stretch, but my dad works with her dad.
Yeah.
Because they're both welders. And I had the wonderful opportunity, wonderful being certainly a word to choose, to actually work on the site in Aberthaw as a tea girl. So I was doing all the cleaning and stuff. And he's from Tonopandi, I believe.
Tonopandi!
But his...
Not to be confused with Pontopandi.
Yeah, not to be confused with Pontopandi. So he's got such a low, grumbly Welsh accent. Like, he literally mumbles.
Yeah.
Because every time I think of the Welsh accent, and something, a Welsh accent that's different to Swansea and to ours, I've noticed that I really dislike the Barry accent.
How dare you? Even though you're from Barry.
I know.
You Judas.
I know. I'm literally from Barry, but like,
see,
when I went to London, I didn't even consider myself to have an accent because my parents purposely told me not to kind of fall into the Barry accent. So instead of saying midnight, it was always midnight.
Midnight, yeah.
So they would purposely tell me that I have to, that my diction had to be perfect.
Yeah.
And so when I went away, I went away from Wales to London to do my makeup course. And they basically turned around to me and they were like, "You have such a strong Welsh accent." And I was like, "What?" I'm sorry, excuse me?
Yeah. Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalised keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewellery, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle or even more? Look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF627EB, or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You can even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 94248. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewellery? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Vale Jewellery Workshops. Vale Jewellery Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewellery. They will help you make a range of silverware including rings, bracelets and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or even phone them at 07789 794248.
Did you ever watch the Dr. Dolittle with Robert Downey Jr?
Yes.
What did you think of his Welsh accent?
I thought it was... Look, it depends on where you go. I've heard it from a few various sources. I've been told that some people said it was disgusting. Some people said fair play. He gave it a go and everything. And and he talked about it on Joe Rogan.
Oh, did he?
He talked about it. He said, he tried to go for like a Welsh accent. And do you know what? I'm actually glad that someone like Robert Downey Jr. thought, Welsh accent, I'm going to give it a go.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a go. And I thought he pulled it off well. And the Razzie Awards,
yeah,
obviously, they were like, for worst Welsh accents. I was like, none of you fuckers know where Wales is, so fuck you. Like, kiss my ass. No, they gave Tom Hanks worst supporting actor as well for Elvis. Now, kiss my ass. Kiss my ass.
They're not really awards though, are they?
Yeah, and do you know what's the worst thing about it?
Fun,
they can,
isn't it?
Yeah, fun, and then they just put in 13, 14-year-old performers saying worst actress or worst actor.
Yeah, that's.
They stopped doing it now. Because after, even though it was too late, I think, but the girl who, do you remember the Firestarter remake with Zac Efron?
Yes.
The actress got nominated for worst actress, and she's 13, or she was 13 at the time. And there was a backlash
Well, yeah.
There was a big backlash saying, no, this is wrong. 13 and anyone under 16 or 18 should not be considered worst actress, because at the end of the day, these are kids.
Yeah.
They're not like Richard Burton. They're not like Tom Hanks. They're not like Liz Taylor. They're not like the seasoned, experienced actors and performers.
Yeah.
Or maybe some. There's a lot of child actors like Kurt Russell, Jodie Foster, who've been in the industry since they were 5 and 6.
Yeah, but there's a difference between nominating someone who is 18 and under and
18 and above.
Yeah, because obviously when we're adults, we know that this is just mockery. This is just a piss take. It's a bit of fun.
Yeah, Halle Berry. I mean, when Halle Berry and Sandra Bullock, right? Mm-hmm. Both won Oscars. Mm-hmm. But both won Razzies. And what was the funniest thing about Halle Berry's is that she came she actually went to the Razzie Awards. Now, no A-star would go to the Razzies. It's like, that's silly.
Yeah.
But she actually turned up and reenacted her Oscar speech, her freak out, and she brought her Oscars along with her to say, yeah, I've won Worst Actress, but I've actually got an Oscar, so...
Yeah.
Up yours. Sandra Bullock did as well, but they took it with stride. And I think with the Razzie Awards, and we'll go back to what we were saying about the accents in a minute.
Yeah.
But with the Razzie Awards, I've just lost a lot of respect for them. Mm-hmm. Not because it's like I've watched Elvis.
Yeah.
And Tom Hanks, I thought he was brilliant as Elvis. And I'm not being funny, right? But if the daughter of Elvis Presley, the former wife of Elvis Presley, Priscilla, and everyone else, the Presley family, have said, he is the Colonel, he was the Colonel. I'm not being funny, but the Razzie Awards should not have bat an eyelid.
No. If
the family of Elvis Presley and the critics were like, well done.
Yeah.
Don't piss in the tent. Don't cut your nose off to spite your face.
Yeah.
I was like, and when Tom Hanks won worst supporting actor, I was a bit like, yeah, fuck you. And he got nominated for worst actor in a leading role for Pinocchio.
Oh, bless you.
Oh, bless me. Excuse me. Thank God he didn't win. Jared Leto won for Morbius.
Do you know, I still haven't seen.
Don't.
Morbius.
I'm trying to still get back my two hours of watching Cats.
Oh, see now
Yeah, but we're gonna go off topic a minute. So but with the accents.
But, going back to the accents, I really enjoyed Downey Jr.'s portrayal of the Welsh accent, because number one, we never see it.
Yeah.
As you said, especially with someone like Robert Downey Jr. I slightly expect it from Michael Sheen and other Welsh actors. But from Robert Downey Jr., I didn't expect it. And I thought he did a really good job, considering that sometimes the Welsh accent can be so difficult, depending on where you're plonking your accent. Yeah. There were certain words that he said where I had to go back and I had to re-listen, because I was like, damn, that is a good Welsh accent. Yeah. And then there were other sentences where I was like, dear.
The way it's like... I always try to... I feel... When I try to do a Welsh accent, even though I've got a Welsh accent, I've always been advised, if you're going to do a Welsh accent, do not try to put it on. Just let it come naturally. Just let it come naturally.
Yeah.
So if you're... every time I go up to... it's weird, because every time I speak to friends from Port Talbot, I slip into the Port Talbot accent because I'm with them. It's like
that's what I do when I talk to my grandparents who are from Swansea. I'll come off the phone and Garen's like, oh, have you been speaking to your grandma? And I was like, yeah. How do you know? And he was like, oh, because you're very, very Welsh.
Very Welsh.
Because your accent has come through. And I was like, oh, whoops. And I'll be talking, and then I will hear it myself. And then I will look at him, and then he will look at me, and he will start laughing. And I'm like, excuse me, sir, please, can we not? At least I can do the Welsh accent.
No, in all fairness to Robert Downey Jr., and it was another thing to back it up as well, Damian Lewis and Toni Collette. I was an extra on Dream Horse.
Nice.
And I was there's a scene where they're at the races, and I'm actually stood right next to all of them.
Oh, nice.
And I got picture evidence, photographic evidence. Now, Damien Lewis and Tony Collette. Damien Lewis is from Liverpool, and Tony Collette is from Australia, right? And you think, yeah, how are they going to put on the Welsh accents? I heard them put on Valley's accents, and it's just, my God.
Wow.
My God, on point, chef kiss, like, fair play. And the thing is as well, they're the two leading actors, and then all the supportings are Owen Teale from Swansea, Dame Sian Phillips, you know, and I just looked at it, I was like, shit, that's Sian Phillips. Yeah, they were it's like what's her name, Butcher or something like that. She's done Casualty, she's done a few things. There's like a lot of Welsh supporting actors who are supporting them, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is absolutely incredible. And they put it on accents. So, yeah. Another thing that, when you mentioned Michael Sheen.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what we're going to call this entire podcast. Probably, you know, Welsh accents and beyond. Here we go.
It's New Year ramblings.
Yeah, New Year ramblings. No, the thing about, do you remember what Michael Sheen said about Welsh characters be portrayed by Welsh actors? Do you remember something like that? There was like a spark outcry.
No, I don't.
Right. Sometime last year, which is weird to say, every time it's a new year, but sometime back in 2023, Michael Sheen was interviewed, and he said he would prefer Welsh actors to play Welsh characters, right? And then there was like a big media outcry over it because, I mean, Piers Morgan jumped on the bandwagon. I was like, Piers, shut the fuck up, you're not Welsh. Prick. Yeah. Only on a prick on that count. But even I was a bit taken back by... I read Michael Sheen's word, and I was like, yeah, fair enough, but I would actually be proud for someone like Robert Downey Jr. to at least give it a go.
See, now it's frustrating because I can see the two sides of the coin. Now, in one way, I am absolutely 100% let them be more naturally Welsh people playing Welsh specific roles. But at the same time, if because I know for a fact that not all Welsh people film
non-Welsh performers or something.
Well, filmmakers won't want to pick a rando from Wales.
Yeah.
You know, they would want to have Robert Downey Jr. or they would want to have, you know, all these big names. All of them just kind of went out of my head, and I've only got Robert Downey Jr. in.
Yeah,
he lives rent free in my brain.
But that's the thing, though. It's someone like Robert Downey Jr. that I feel grateful for, that has turned around and said, I wanted to do the Welsh accent, I'm going to give it a go. And I'm like, fair play bach, da iawn. Da iawn, diolch yn fawr iawn. No, but thank you for doing that, because you didn't have to. He didn't have to. He's like, no, I thought I'd give it a go. And that's why I always say, fuck you to the Razzies, because they put him in a category, because they have a weird category called worst duo on screen, and they go Robert Downey Jr. and the Welsh accent. I'm like, how many of you have been to fucking Wales?
Exactly.
It's like, kiss my ass. On behalf of Wales, kiss my ass. But again, it's the same with Michael Sheen. Yeah, I can understand, like you said, there's two sides to the coin. Yeah, you would prefer like a Welsh actor to play a Welsh character, but my argument is, as an actor, right, if you come in and say there's a character, right, and it's not specific who this character is, and say this English, Scottish, American, French, German actor came in and turned around and said, I would like to give the Welsh accent a go. First things first, I'm not going to be there going, no, you can't do that because you're not Welsh. I'd be going, really? You want to do that, do you? And I'd be going, fair play, you want to give it a go? Give it a go.
Yeah.
And if they can do the job,
do the job.
There you go.
Yeah.
You can do the Welsh accent, fair enough. You know, I'll give you credit. I give everyone credit.
Yeah.
Whoever wants to play a Welsh
because
character.
that's the whole point of acting, isn't it? Is that you are your person, but then you transform into, as an actor, you transform into somebody you're not to play the part of that other person. So if I come in, you know, little old Welsh me comes in, but I'm given a German woman. I have to try, and very badly because I'm awful at accents, I have to very badly put on a German accent.
Yeah.
Or I have to put on a French accent, or, you know, I have to become somebody else. And yes, I may look like the part, but if I can't do the accent that they're requesting, then that's it.
That's why if when I ever do get to that position of I'm directing a film or directing a play, I'm not going for, if someone comes up to me and says they don't look the part, I'm going to turn around and go, fuck off with that excuse. I'm looking for tone, I'm looking for dialect, I'm looking for every single nook and cranny to see that person can play the part. If they can play the part, they're going to rock it.
Yeah.
Whoever, he, she, they, them, whatever. Right? Don't care. I don't care. As long as, that's what I keep saying over and over again. I've got a lot of respect for Robert Downey Jr. because he did not have to do that.
No, he didn't.
He chose it.
Yeah.
He chose it. He acknowledged it. End of. Fuck the Razzies as well for that category.
Yeah.
Up yours.
Because I'm not going to lie to you, I cannot, unless my brain is just completely shot, I cannot think of another actively Welsh character, like specific, like Welsh specific character with that's not necessarily set in Wales, but any other big name film. I can't think of a actively Welsh accent.
Oh, in the films?
Like in films.
Right, I never used How Green Was My Valley because it was absolutely diabolical. How it won Best Picture at the Oscars, I will never know. It won Best Picture over Citizen Kane. How the freaking hell did the Oscars work that one out? See, this is the thing. Unless you're like Richard Burton, unless you are... There probably is. There probably is. But then again, you can't use Twin Town as an excuse because Twin Town was an independent British film.
Yeah.
Like I said, mainstream. You know,
mainstream film.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, someone said The Right, which starred Anthony Hopkins. But again, that's Anthony Hopkins. And the thing about Anthony Hopkins, he's from Talbot.
Exactly.
He's from Talbot. And so those kind of actors, they're going to just put it on like that.
Yeah.
But... we'll move on from the Welsh accents anyway,
yes,
because we've talked so much. There's going to be a lot of editing into this.
I know.
Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalised keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewellery, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle or even more? Look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF62 7EB, or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You could even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 942 48. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewellery? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Vale Jewellery Workshops. Vale Jewellery Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewellery. They will help you make a range of silverware including rings, bracelets and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or even phone phone them at 07789 794248.